Hello, State Senator J.D. Mesnard here with another legislative update. So it's a pretty big moment. We wrapped up all of our committee work, which occupies most of January, February, March of each session. There's one exception, and that's the Appropriations Committee, which handles the budget. They'll continue on with some work. But otherwise, a major piece of the process is now behind us. And what's ahead of us is just a marathon of roll call votes on the floor as we try to get things up to the governor's office. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up as part of these next steps is some measures now that could go before the voters. So unlike a typical bill, which requires the House and the Senate and the governor to agree, the legislature can choose to send things to the ballot for the voters to decide on. You've heard me mention a couple of these in the past, including a pay raise for teachers. Another would make sure that there's no government shutdown if we don't have a budget by July 1st. I wanted to talk about a couple of others as well. One is a measure that was introduced that will go before the voters and say that if you are convicted of a Class 2 felony for trafficking, for sex trafficking children, then we would actually say that you are going to go to prison for the rest of your life, no possibility of parole. It would make it one of the harshest sentences in the country, but in my opinion, I did support this measure, a fitting punishment for those who are doing such heinous crimes. We've seen a massive spike because of the border and Biden's failure to secure the border with sex trafficking of children, which is just a travesty. So we want to make sure those who are doing these heinous acts are put behind bars forever and aren't then later released to society. So that's one measure that I supported. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but it was a largely partisan vote, especially in the House. I'm not sure a single Democrat voted for it in the House. Some Democrats in the Senate voted for it, but the majority did not. And that just is sad. We should all be united that these are the types of things we're not going to tolerate in society. And then one other I'll mention is a bill that would say if a measure is going to go before the voters, folks are out there getting signatures perhaps to try to get something to go before the voters, but there's a challenge to its constitutionality. There's some questions raised about whether this is actually legal and constitutional, that we would iron that out in court before having it go to the voters, spend lots of money, perhaps have the voters pass it, only to find out later it's unconstitutional. That one is my proposal. It's made its way all the way through the Senate and through the committees in the House. So anyway, that's kind of some of the highlights for this week. I'll have a lot more next week as we get through some of these marathon votes. But until then, God bless.